Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Is That an Owl Bear, a D&D podcast. Me, because I forgot to say it last episode, I am one of your hosts, Cristina Contreras, or you can call me Crispa, you can call me whatever you want. I am here every day because this is my podcast, and I'm here every week with my best friend, my favorite person in the world, DM Joe.
That's me. Hi,
yeah,
guys.
It is you.
I'm DM Joe, and I'm happy to announce that we're here with DM Cristina. I'm happy to announce that we're gonna talk about fun D&D things, and amongst the fun D&D things is Cristina new path in life. But we'll get to that later. We don't have to just go off the bat of that. I'm more than happy to be here.
This just started, and he's not letting it go.
Making it a reality.
He's a dog with a new bone. And honestly,
have you met me? I want to shout out Critical Role. I'm wearing their awesome trinket shirt.
Oh my god, that is so badass. I love it.
It's the best thing. There's a trinket with a bunch of little bows at the bottom. I'm not gonna get up because I'm sitting, but he has a little bows and it's super cute, and I love the shirt. It's also really comfortable.
It looks really comfy.
So it's pretty great.
What are we doing today?
We are talking about D&D. What we're going to talk about, besides your new career path, sprinkled in and out, we're going to be talking about.
All right. So just to be blunt, Joe and I, right before we started recording, we were talking about Cristina becoming a DM, and it is something I have been toying with for a really long time, because even though we have said that I am not that familiar with Dungeons and Dragons, I am familiar with A, other tabletop RPGs, and B, I can just get familiar with Dungeons and Dragons. So this conversation just started right before we press record, and now Joe is not going to let it go. And quite frankly, no, I don't want you to, because I like to flirt with this idea.
It's like I've always said that part of the hardest things about being a DM is having the improv skills, the character, the voices, and you're properly trained in all of those fields. Right?
I get paid for all of those things.
Yes, but no, you went to college.
Yes,
for these things. You're properly trained. I'm a dumbass that has learned through repetition, right? I'm just a fool with a microphone that has learned through repetition. You went and studied this, so
I got in debt for this.
Correct. And the other part of DMing is knowing the rules, and that's just reading a book. That is the easier part of DMing.
All right.
So you're properly trained to be able to do this in a very a bigger scale type of thing than anybody else, because you have the skills for it. And if you wanted to start off simple, you start off with modules. And then if you want to go into homebrewing, you can, and if you don't want to. There's so many resources on Forge and other VTTs where you literally for free can import. No, sorry, I think you have to pay $5. You buy.
We're all learning today.
You buy the book on D&D Beyond, so sure, that's $30. And then you pay the Patreon guy, Mr. Primate, you pay him $5, and then you can literally import the book with its maps. So you don't gotta make maps. You don't gotta do anything. You import the books into the virtual tabletop, and it has the things you have to read, and it has the things you gotta do, and you just sit there and click while making wonderful tones and setting atmospheric musical, which is also free. So what I'm saying is, if anybody wants to really DM, they can. It's work in that when you're doing stories that you tie in backstories and this and that, it's a little bit bigger. But I've seen DMs run for example, Curse of Strahd, and they're backstories don't affect here, so they literally read from a book to the players, and that's what they do.
And that's it.
people pay it, and people enjoy it. And that's not my MO, but I'm not saying that that's not valid MO. People do it, people are enjoying it. I don't know how much players are aware that sometimes they're just being read from. I don't know. Like as a DM, I don't know if that would bother players.
Okay,
like I
gotcha.
don't I'm unaware because I'm here doing my things. I make 95% of my map. I actually have started not doing all of them because I have up to 7 tables, and
we are so proud of DM Joe.
We're
Holy
happy,
shit.
we're proud, we're excited.
We are happy, proud, and excited. Snaps.
Do you remember 5 months ago I was like, I'm on start playing, I have no games, and now we're at 7. Like, it's crazy. It's
you remember when you were like, people do that, I want to do that, and I was like, then why don't you?
Yes, and then I did it. And now, do you remember when you said, what if I do that? And I said, why don't you? And you said, panic.
I said, hey, SAG-AFTRA's on strike. Queer panic, just the bi panic attacking, just like no. Listen, SAG-AFTRA has been on strike for a month and a half, for 2 months, for almost 2 months.
Oh, right,
SAG-AFTRA.
Fact.
Correct. SAG-AFTRA has been on strike for close to 2 months. The writers have been on strike for a third of the year, and we as SAG actors just got another strike authorization for video games. So your girl is gonna be tight and cozy in her home, doing very little because, you know, trickle down economics. So we are going to find other options.
So
other sources of income.
As a little plug, you can always find me on startplaying.games, and soon you'll be able to find Cristina in startplaying.games.
That's very likely.
And if it does happen, like, also, guys, don't take this seriously. Like, if she doesn't do it, she doesn't do it. Like, this isn't a commitment of any sort.
We literally
but
if
it does happen, correct. If it does happen, we'll talk about it on the podcast, because I am in no way experienced or able to guide anyone through this, but I will. And she will follow my shitty advice.
Because what else will I do? Like, what is my alternative? Well, all right.
Yeah, this is great. We hope you join
us. So come and check us out. Go check out Joe on Start Playing. Go check me out on my Twitch channel to see if you want to see my face talking nonsense. And guess what? You could check us out on Wednesdays, both of us, on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Crispa Contreras from 6 p.m. in my channel. Yes, from 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so that you can witness, have a visual of what playing with DM Joe is like. So come check it out. Why the fuck not? Yeah,
and it's exciting. We have great players.
Shameless
it's a
plugs.
Great environment.
Shameless plugs.
Sometimes we gotta plug. And if you like it, you can join us. We're talking about creating opportunities for role-playing moments, both players and DMs alike. This comes from actually a player in one of our campaigns. I have him in 2 different games, and he mentioned someone asked him, like, oh, how did it go? And he was like, oh, it was great. It's different because the Wednesday group role plays a lot more. And I was like, ooh, what's the difference? And I was thinking, like, one of the things that I did on the Wednesday group in the first session, they had a relatively hard battle in the first session. That's how they all met. They met in a battle.
That's true. Yeah.
Rather than doing a tavern or standard, whatever. They were in our place and things attacked. So they sat around and they were like, we used all our resources. They're like level 1, so every resource is a resource.
Yes.
And they sat down and lit a fire and had spent an evening for a long rest. And it was a little nice role-playing moment where they kind of talked about why they were doing there, who they were, and it kind of bonded the party a little bit, because that's how they all met.
That's true. I was there. I can vouch for this. And the alternative with the other table party, is what? Yeah.
They kind of go from scene to scene, and they interact and role play a lot with me as NPCs, versus with each other.
With each other.
Uh-huh.
Gotcha. All
So the
right.
part of the thing is because we don't rests in the other Panchara is the other name of the other game, are very like there's always something to do because you're exploring this new world and it's very like what is happening. So
Mhm.
it doesn't really give a lot of this, and the moments that I have created, like usually after a mission they come and they go to a bar and they kind of sit down. It's very, if the NPC doesn't start the conversation,
Mhm.
they don't talk amongst themselves, and I think it's very player dependent because I have a player, shout out to Callie, thank you for listening, it means the world.
Thank you for listening, Kelly.
She is the type of player who will talk to the other players and kind of
Mhm.
pull out those scenes and that role play, but it's a little bit hard to always kind of be that one person who's pulling out those scenes. So I think
Mhm.
it's important to kind of as players kind of understand that some people do want more role play, some people want less,
Mhm.
but to find a happy medium with everyone into a comfortable amount of role playing. The DM's job partially is to create a correct story beat moment where these conversations can happen. Because right, you can't be fighting a dragon and be like, and I'm sad. Won't work. Like, right? It's not
Like
vibing. It's
as
not.
the dragon slays your childhood friend, you have a moment to reminisce the first time you both met each other and have like this is not an anime. This is not an anime. We cannot spend 3 hours describing a flashback while we're in the middle of a battle. That
Like,
shit don't work.
I have a caveat to that because sometimes you
Okay.
can do it during a battle, but those have to be little snippets, like they have to be
Mm-hmm.
short
Mm-hmm.
because it's gonna be very individual scene. You're not gonna have a whole party flashback where everybody gets to role play during a battle and interrupt that. I mean, you could, I guess. I mean, you can do whatever you want. But for example, me, when you die, when you're unconscious, you have to
Mm-hmm.
make death saving throws rather
Correct.
than it just being like roll die. I'm very like, and as you kind of shift into your unconscious and unconscious state, your memory drifts to a poignant moment where you remember how your mother used to feel your forehead, and you're feeling those fingers now as you go deeper and deeper into the afterlife. If you fail, if you pass, it's your mother telling you in a very soft voice, it's not your time. Like it,
Right, right,
you do
right,
get
right.
little
Agreed.
little moments,
Mm-hmm.
um but it's not, those aren't the moments created for it. Like after a battle, it's always usually loot.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to loot everything because we play to loot. We don't
That's
it's the
true.
most
That's true.
important. I mean, I want to
Resources
loot all the
always.
time, always.
Always.
um and then you create that little moment where, I mean, if they fought something difficult, like how did it
Yeah.
feel, this and that.
Yeah, I guess that what I the example I gave wasn't necessarily the best because it does open uh the what you just mentioned, right? But for example, what I guess what I wanted to say was if you're fighting a BBG, BBG,
BBEG, big
BBEG,
bad evil guy,
that BBEG, thank you. Um, maybe it's not the best time to talk to your
love
party
interest.
member or love interest. Like, we really had a wonderful moment last night. I wanted to
Yeah.
touch back.
Yeah.
I really wanted to touch back and just be sure of what you meant when you held my hand. It's like, I'm sorry, your mage is bleeding out. Is this the is this the moment? Like the tank is by itself.
The
the,
tank is not tanking.
the
The
tank
tank
is
is
not tanking.
struggling.
Can you or the tank just being like, shall we have a role playing moment?
I
It's
think
like
it's
it's
actually, I'm
situational.
gonna, yeah, it's situational, but I'm gonna piggyback what you said because it's
Mhm,
also part of the DM's job to let the players know when
mhm.
those oh god, how can I word this?
Interactions.
So when those interactions will cut off because they're no longer at a good moment. I think uh uh Matt Mercer did it for Critical Role when they're at Whitestone, about to go fight Delilah for the first time, he tells the players and he asks them, I think it's like 3 or 4 times, he's like, do you want to do anything else before you head there? Like, you don't have to tell the players, if you open that door, it's gonna be cutscene, because kind of what happens, like you get but you do have to like double triple check in order to make sure that they have the moments to roleplay, because I'm sure that the druid in this scenario, Keyleth, wanted to speak to the Sun Tree again, and I don't know, Vex wanted to Vex around, and Vax wanted to Vaxalia and just steal some shit, like whatever. I don't know what they did. But I think it's important to the DM to create those spaces, and I think it's important for the players to take those leads and to kind of tell, even if it's over the table, or if it's like over the table, be like, okay, I'm done. And if it's under the table, just be like, and then I go stand by the door. I think that's a pretty, in this scenario, you kind of be like, okay, I took my bite of the role playing that I wanted to participate in. I can be at the door. If you want to talk to me, you can come to the door.
Gotcha. So I guess that it's kind of like a making sure that you are self-aware. I guess, like, just be aware that if you're being offered, and I'm saying this as a player who recognizes that she might miss these moments, be aware that if the dungeon master, if the DM, the storyteller, is giving you the opportunity to do things and outright voicing it, is there anything else you guys want to do before we rest, before we move on? Is there anything else? And after, because you do that all the time, and after everybody goes or whatever, you go, is everybody done? Are we good? Like, you make sure you confirm, you double check, because it is important to be self-aware in the sense that the moment that we are moving to a different scene, the moment has passed. Like, it is still, for all intents and purposes, a pretty much linear storyline. It's not like, all right, well, we're in the middle of a battle. But I remember seeing that one chest in the 3rd floor of the house that we are fighting outside of. I will take this moment to go open the chest. It's like, no, darling, if the house survives,
then
you might.
It's a great example that you mentioned that, because there's that infamous battle with Orion, said his name, in they're fighting mind flayers and like a zombie beholder. It's a whole thing, and the guy just doesn't understand that the mechanic, he's trying to rally the mind flayers against the beholder, and they're not rallying the way he wants to. But in order to get there, it takes him like 3 turns to go to where they are, right? And the DM is like, he tells him, it's gonna take you a bit to get there. Like, if the DM is warning you off the bat, you are needed in this battle, and you can really feel how that battle is extraneous for the other players, because their DPS guy is gone. I think that's a great example of reading when to do things, and sometimes your plans will not work. And in this, just what you said also, yesterday I actually had one of the montage sessions, which is very like, okay guys, 3 months passed, what did you do during those 3 months? And it's very like, okay, what did you do? And they're like, I will have this conversation. So you role play that scene, and then it's like, I planted a tree, so you don't really need to role play that, you just planted the tree. And then you go back to somebody and they're like, I trained on this skill, so you might do a little like role playing there, you might not as well. It really is dependent of
what you choose to be doing during that time.
And during that, the whole, like, the session was 4 hours long, and during those 4 hours we basically went around, like, I think we went around, everybody got like 4 or 5 actions of what they did. Some of them were very moving plots forward, like, I go talk to the king, I go do this, that. Others were very like, I get really high and have an emotional journey. And then I also made that plot wise, like, it's important for all characters and players to do things that feel correct for their character, and for the DM to reward them accordingly. The player that got high, he went on like on an ayahuasca journey, and it was fantastic.
Shout out to my other 420 person.
Yeah, actually, it wasn't him. It was somebody else. This group in this group, as their team name, they call themselves the Humble Stoners.
I love them.
You would fit so well in with this group. They're so good. I really love my Monday group. My Monday group brings me tremendous joy when I play with them.
I love
God, I'm so happy. But yeah, so he purposely took this mushroom because somebody else gave it to him, and he was all like, I'm tripping balls. But then I told him how he's a cleric, and his power comes from like an archfey type thing. And I gave him finally a little hint that the archfey feels trapped, and he kind of recoiled. He was like, I'm sorry, I was just tripping balls, and now I have all this, like, what is happening? And I was like, your plot. You found it.
Your plot? You found it? You wanted enlightenment? You got it?
Pretty much. And God, it's just they tend to get sidetracked a lot on Mondays, but I feel that all of them are having like such a good time. And it's rather than kill a rat person, they kind of convinced him. This rat tribe was hunting for coconuts to get food, and they were like, you need to join us, whatever. So now they have the rat person king
as a party member,
as an NPC, but the rat person king was looking for coconuts, so they just refer to him as the coconut king. And honestly, I couldn't be happier.
Honestly, that sounds fucking perfect.
I love D&D.
In the meantime, in our session, we just keep getting pets, taking them and collecting them like it's fucking Pokemon.
Here, I don't know what's up. Shout out to Tyrell. You know who you are.
Yes.
I did not create that little bugger that you took as your minion. I'm looking right at you. If you listen to this, I don't know, but I want you to know he wasn't created to be your little minion, and yet here we fucking are.
Sorry.
I did create the little hamster with the horn thing, the Almirage, to be a pet. Like that was the intention of adding that. But then the other thing,
was
Hank. Meant to be. Hank is the cutest.
Hank is the cutest.
When I told you all about the dead Hanks, you were all very
sad. All got so sad. We all got so sad. I was like, how dare you? Like, and the fact that we could see them. The little
I did that on purpose.
with a little fucking skull. I was like, this bitch, how dare
you killed it, and then you killed the shadow.
And I also want you to know that I tried taking both pets as my own, and I did not succeed. But I am very glad that they have found amazing partners in the other party members. But do I feel bad for the little fucker that's with us now that can't speak and nobody understands? A little.
Y'all treat, I don't know how you all treat him, but he's just like, oh God, I think he's a
try to be nice.
Balborg or whatever the name is. But he's this like a leathery fiend thing that's all like, and these people were like, we're gonna adopt him too, and I'm like, why? He doesn't look.
It's the thing of nightmares.
The fact that you all said this is our little pet now, I am looking forward to the moment that this creature dies.
No, no, it does so much damage. Don't kill it.
I walked myself right into this one, really. And then you did. The other player was like, can I adopt a fairy dragon? I was like, for the love of God, for the love of Jesus Christ, with a K. No.
Hey, this is one of the things that I concerned myself with if I were to become a DM. You know, the dice hate me. How is that gonna work in my favor? If I start fucking DMing and my dice are nothing but beautiful, I'm never playing again.
I think honestly, it would have to like kind of tilt in your favor because DMs roll a lot of dice. So
that
at
is
some point,
also
it's
true.
just
That is also, at some point it's going to work out.
It's just you're gonna pass through the bad luck of it all.
You're still hoping.
You're still hoping. But going back to the main topic,
yes.
it's other things players can do.
Yes.
Specifically, and not DMs, but like players, ask people how they're like. You're playing characters, right? And a general conversation is how are you? And rather than just answer, I'm fine, like we do in real life, make a moment to role play, like, or go up to someone and be like, can I talk to you? I'm really overwhelmed. Why are you overwhelmed? Well, in our Wednesday session, the city is missing. A bunch of shadow dogs are hunting us. There's a fucking war between like little pixies and the dogs, and there's rifts all over the place.
No, the Hanks are dead.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's been a lot, couple of days. And
we met 2 days ago.
Yeah, and now we're walking to the fucking Fey portal that Artagan built. Like, it's a lot.
It is a lot.
I need a moment. So it's kind of also like asking, rather than waiting for someone to start it with you, you can also be like, hey, you know, like there's lots going on. How are you feeling? Or why were you at the city? Are you looking for someone? Or just like whatever little tidbits people have dropped on as players, kind of pick up on them and help them tell you their backstory. Everyone has a backstory that they want to share.
That's
so
true.
If players create the opportunity to share the backstory, it flows a lot better. So I think it's important to keep that in mind.
I agree 1000%. She says she's the one who usually freezes, but that's just because I haven't played in a hot minute and I'm trying to get back into it. But no, I absolutely agree. I think that, well, as a player who enjoys heavy role play in her games, because I do enjoy more role play than the technicalities of battle. That's just my preference. Mostly because I don't know the rules. I think that it is very important to allow the time, the moment for everybody to create a relationship with different characters. I know that it's safe and easy to kind of like bounce off of the people that you have already played with for a while, the DM, because they are the ones who know where the story's going. But at the end of the day, you as a character are going through all of these things with the other characters. If there is one character that your character is not bonding with, is not actively taking the time to go talk to go hang out with, that even allows for the storyline to like go a completely different line. Like, why is your character choosing to not interact with this person? Do you feel suspicious about this character? Do you know something about them that the rest don't? Like, what is there animosity between the two of you? Like, use it as a role-playing moment, but also allow yourself to give yourself the opportunity to play with everybody. We have mentioned before that some players tend to be quieter than others. Some players might struggle with initiating the interactions, and I get that. And there's other players. I used to be one of those players that was very quick at just like creating little interactions with the people that I knew that I would be able to bounce off of. But everybody has a story. Everybody has a reason to be here, and it will make the tapestry of what is going on much richer if you allow yourself the chance to just engage with the other people who haven't had the opportunity to be engaging as much.
And it's important.
It is important.
Because in the end, I think everybody wants to role play to a certain degree. Maybe not everybody wants to role play as much as you do, for example, but they'll give you what they're comfortable with, and then they'll be like, I'm good. But it's creating, and it's at no point should you be like, oh, this player never talks, so I'm not going to address them. Be like, hey, how you doing? And if it's the type of person that says, I'm fine, well, that's more than nothing, and maybe one day they will open up once their backstory kind of comes into play, and how that kind of circles back for them. So just create the moments as dungeon masters and as players within yourself. It's not just a dungeon master. Like, if you're traveling to a different place, I think it's an important one, and nothing's happening, the player should be able to be like, hey, I talked to this other player about whatever thing, and you can have the scene kind of go from there, and have it be a nice little like role-playing moment.
Yeah, like even on Dragon Age, when I'm playing, I remember, and I'm not a person who plays Dragon Age as often because it gives me motion sickness. But when you're just playing, minding your own business, going from point A to point B, there is prompted dialogue that doesn't involve the actual players, the characters having an interaction amongst themselves, because that is what would happen. That is what happens in real life. So
you don't only have to talk about the plot. You can also talk about your feelings towards each other, the plot, or like it's your feelings as a topic of conversation is valid. Most of us talk about our feelings all the fucking time.
Correct.
So
I think that was important to say.
So yeah, that's just a little bit of tidbit and things to keep in mind when you're role playing to make sure everybody's having a good time. Create spaces as dungeon masters and as players where people can afford that role playing, and it's not just all crunchy numbers. Yeah. So with that being said, Cristina, I have sent you an image of a half lion woman. She has massive claws. Her skin is a golden hue. She is probably on her human form one of the most beautiful people you have ever seen, but her lion claws are formidable and quite aggressive as she pounces towards you. What am I?
Sphinx.
That is incorrect.
No. Oh,
I am a lamia. Lamia? Lamia.
A lamia? This is a lamia?
Yes.
Oh,
they usually
Lamias
reside in
terrifying.
Yes, they usually reside in ruined desert cities and tombs of much forgotten monarchs. And they're decadent monsters that take what has been forgotten and make it a seed for hedonistic rules surrounding themselves with sycophants. Lamias rely on jackal wares to perform their various tasks, sending them across ways to capture thralls, steal treasures.
How very Egyptian of them.
Right? I love it. It's noted that they're very beautiful. Like, they're super beautiful in their upper humanoid form. And fun little thing is that they're tyrants of pleasures. They adorn their crumbling surroundings with finery stolen from passing caravans, and use magic to further accentuate their lairs, masking the decay with illusion. They look like breathtaking. I love it. I love that. I'm gonna fucking add some Lamias to my game.
You really should. Lamia for the win. Okay.
Yeah. So I love Lamias. I actually haven't used them. Sometimes when I'm picking the monster of the podcast, I'm like, I just put in letters to see what comes up, just to try something different. Right. And this one's the one that came up today. I also bought a bunch of books, so this might, I don't know what book you're in. But yeah. You are a secret.
Amazing.
No, you're in basic rules. All right. Well, guys, thank you for another listen episode of the D&D podcast.
Because I don't
know, we do this on a weekly basis every Wednesday, mostly of most.
Sometimes life is lifing, and we might. We will try to let you know, hey, next week we're not having an episode, but sometimes it just happens.
It just happens.
Check out our socials. Owlbear Pod on Twitter and Instagram. Owlbear Pod on Instagram and YouTube. Owlbear Pod 1 on Twitter. And you can check out me as Crispa Contreras on Instagram and Twitch, and as Crispa120 on TikTok and Twitter. Come check out our game on Start Playing. You tell them about it, Joe.
You can check me out on Twitter at Joe Harrell. You can check me out on startplaying.game/DM/DM Joe. And our game is set in Exandria, where you can fuck around and find out, because the rifts are opening all over the world.
Everywhere.
The elemental planes are coming in, and it seems that there's a group of people who are really fucking up, because they start showing up all the fucking time whenever there's a fucking rifts, and it's like, what are you doing? And our intrepid heroes seem to be in a case of shit out of luck, because they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. So check us out on Wednesday on Christina's stream. Thank you very much for listening. We're very grateful, and we'll see you in the next one.
See you next time. Bye-bye.